Hello everyone, this is aTnDarKFoRcE here, and Sean is not going to be joining me just for this one cast, but I promise he will be returning very shortly. So it is going to be just you and me here for this game. So spawning up in the top center, it is not anonymous, it is IMMvp. Currently looking to seal out this series fairly early here against aTnDarKFoRcE, as he is currently up 1-0. So this game could go either way. aTnDarKFoRcE is a very powerful Zerg opponent. He is super macro style, as we kind of were discussing previously in the cast, in that you can expect to see a lot of creep spread out of him. Long, macro, drawn-out games, similar to kind of how Goody plays, who is a Terran player. But versus Zerg, he tends to go mech style, kind of pushing out very slowly and methodically with those units. Now, of course, Zerg does not really have any siege units, but they do have things like Broodlords. So if you are able to get to that tech, then you can indeed move very slowly, because you kind of have to, as Broodlords do indeed move slowly. They do not benefit from that creep speed bonus. Now, right now, we are going to be seeing Hatch first out of aTnDarKFoRcE. Sending down the drone right there, going to arrive right when he gets 300 minerals, and boom goes the hatchery. So already gearing up for a macro-style game. Now this version of the map does have the neutral supply depots down here, which doesn't play a huge role in TVZ, because it basically is preventing bunkers from walling in the Zerg opponent. So it kind of prevents that opener from being in the Terran arsenal. And yeah, so we're not going to be seeing any charged Void Rays or anything like that. Spawning pool going down right now for aTnDarKFoRcE, playing this out fairly standardly. Does have his Overlord and a nice little hiding spot up here. That's one thing that a lot of Zerg players have started to do, is finding very creative ways to hide their Overlords to spot things. I was watching a game in the GSL. You guys are going to have to remind me which game that was. I believe it was Code A, but there was a map where one of the players was trying to go for a DT rush, and the Overlord was hidden in such an awesome spot. It was like on this tiniest little doodad, and I was very impressed with it. It's something that you always have to remember. Zerg players are not going to be sticking those Overlords in the same place every time, because they are sneaky, and you got to be sneaky to be able to win StarCraft 2, as the factory now going to be going down for MVP. And yeah, it would be very interesting. One thing to note, the finals either going to be a TVZ, or it's going to be an epic rematch between MMA or IMMvp. So either way, I feel like we are in for a treat. Yes, there has been a lot of TVT recently, and the joke going around is that it's not GOM TV, it's GOM TVT. As Terran players, I mean, honestly, just playing so very well. But the races have been changed up a little bit after that recent patch, so we are going to see how the dynamic will affect Terran versus Zerg. Command Center going down right now for MVP. If I recall him anonymous, just ignore it. For some reason, he is playing on an account named that. As the Zerglings now going to try and peek up here, see exactly what's going on. Of course, they will see the factory. They also see the reactor, so they're like, hey, there is a threat of Hellions, and not only Hellions, but also double Hellions at a time produced out of that, if he does indeed decide to lift that off. So right now, it does look like gearing up for a macro game. Neither player can really kill each other right here. It does look like the Hellion harass will begin here, at least with the one Hellion. Two more Hellions are on the way, and they are rallied to the first Hellion that's on the ground, so he may have 3 Hellions in time to attack this natural. Although, will it really be in time? Because this Spinecrawler right here, Hellions cannot scoot by without getting poked around by that Spinecrawler. Spinecrawler is doing so much damage in the early stages of the game. And we did see MVP get up to about 400 resources. I doubt he's going to get a third command center, but it is something that Terran players have experimented with to a varying degree of success. It's definitely not an easy win by going for that early hatch. Does look like the Hellions have spotted this. And right now, this is so standard, especially currently in the meta game of TVZ, leaving these Hellions right outside your Zerg opponent's base. Not only do you get to see if they're trying to send a drone to expand, you can also see their unit compositions. It makes them feel a little uneasy. You have to leave Queens kind of by the ramp. You can't spread creep tumors. So there's a lot of thought that goes into leaving these Hellions here. But the problem is that you really, really have to get those Hellions back as quickly as you can once the Zerglings decide to run out. This Spinecrawler trying to burrow is taking substantial amounts of damage here. Will get a couple more shots off, and then doesn't take a single hit of damage on these Hellions. Absolutely outstanding play. And is able to keep those alive just fine. The only thing you have to watch out for is Zergling surrounds. But, I mean, it's a risk for DarkFoRcE. If he decides to go for a lot of Zerglings, then he is going to have less drones. But if he doesn't go for a lot of Zerglings, then the Hellions going to stay here living free, living large. Now, the Overlord did spot exactly what was going on. If we just take kind of a gander over here at what DarkFoRcE has seen, he spotted all these factories, so he knows, well, there's no Marine major pressure with drops or anything like that. It is indeed going to be mech. And look at the map control you get with these Hellions. Able to kill off these creep tumors. A perfect scan. Got to be taking out double creep tumors right there. Now, there is a designated creeper queen, I believe, for our Zerg player. Is there? Yes, there is. He does have 3 queens out. So losing a couple of those creep tumors isn't going to be that big of a deal because he already kind of knows what his opponent's doing. And until siege tanks decide to move out and you need to start getting those surrounds, I don't think killing those creep tumors is going to be the biggest loss. However, DarkFoRcE, if he continues putting creep here, will be able to force those scans and make sure that the creep spread is at least costing his Terran opponent something to lock that down. So at this point, it does look like both players going for, well, we got Banelings out of DarkFoRcE, continuing the mech with our other Zerg player, going for a couple of Thors, double Thor actually, and I guess couple is couple is 2, and a few is 3 or more. Is that the official ruling on that one? Now, we do have Terran vehicle plating level 1 on the way, and this is actually a really good upgrade to get in these positions. And the reason I would say that is Thors already do a massive amount of damage, so getting the upgrade isn't going to necessarily make you kill stuff that much faster. Especially, I mean, if you think about it, like something like a Zergling. Like, you can kill a Zergling in one shot regardless of what your upgrades are and regardless of what their upgrades are. But if you can get the armor, it allows your Thor to survive longer, which means, especially against the Zerglings, it just means that they can do more damage. And I love how DarkFoRcE managed to sneak out these creep tumors. Rather than trying to go directly out his front base, or out the front of his base, he's actually continuing to creep them off the corner, then you leapfrog it down, and you're already towards your opponent's base. Great play there by him. Going to be destroying these rocks as well. Securing a third against a meching Terran on this map is a very interesting dynamic, because a Terran player who is meching is going to have center map control. So securing a high yield expansion first, that's not going to be easy because the siege tank range is so long they can lock it down, prevent you from getting surrounds. Does look like the Hellions need to be careful. One goes down as well as the second one. That's very, very good for DarkFoRcE. He just needs to make sure that he can deal with the Thors, as all he has now is a bunch of roaches, which are indeed very good. And I'm going to have to apologize. I may be taking sips of water throughout this game, especially depending on how long it goes, because I didn't drink as much water as I should have. So if you ever hear me awkwardly pause and there's a giant gulp, I am drinking H2O, man. If you're watching this and drinking H2O or some other beverage, then I salute you because we have so much in common. It does look like the roaches are going to be scouting around, and they're going to run into a bunch of rocks right here. No, actually deciding to kill off the rocks. This barracks still scouting everything that's going on. High yield rocks getting destroyed. So we are seeing a macro game out of these players. The Spire has finally finished, as we do have Mutalisks on the way. And this main base is actually seemingly undefended, so may get some free kills here. Once the Thors get back in position to deal with it, though, I don't know how long that is going to last. Here it goes right now, harassing the SCVs, and the SCV reaction time there was a little bit slow. Oh, water, how I love you. The Thors are going to be able to push this one back. That is a lot of Thors. About as many Thors as there are Mutas, so that's kind of a one-sided battle. And another Muta going down. DarkFoRcE is not really watching his Mutas. Didn't take a massive amount of splash damage, but it was still quite a bit. That barracks is now destroyed. Kaboom goes the barracks. And the Roach over here, just going to stay up here, see what's going on, see what the expansion timing is. He could also burrow this if he wanted to, but you can also kill an SCV who's sent over there to construct it. Instead, though, we do see the third command center now on the way for IMMvp. Once again, his name anonymous is always throwing me off. I'm all looking at his name like on the screen and it's anonymous. They be trolling me. So a lot of roaches now. 145 supply to 124, which that's not actually an advantage by any means, just because it's pure roach, which Thors do so much damage. Look at this. Boom. Oh, that's the missiles. They do 60 damage, plus siege tanks do 50 versus armored. So roaches are good against armored units. It's just that you have to get them so close to those units that it's during that little second or two that you're taking so much damage from all these meching units, which is why Zerglings are handy, but that's what the Hellions are for. So it's an awesome dynamic between these two. We do see two Beetlists now. They could actually do a little bit of damage here, but the Thor's in position to defend against it. Tanks will be able to take out these rocks in no time. And honestly, we haven't seen hardly any engagements at all. 15 units lost to 11. Only 1,000 resources across the board for each player. And it does look like DarkFoRcE will be maxed out here fairly soon. There's going to be a timing where he just attacks with everything he has and may try and get some free Hellion kills here. That would be a huge victory. Wasn't able to kill all those. There was no fungal growth in sight. We do have the high sec auto tracking, which does a plethora of things. One of them making the missile turrets have a longer range, which is a wonderful upgrade to get. I wouldn't be surprised to see it more and more out of Terrans, because the thing about Terran is that they have so many options. There's so many random upgrades, like Reaper Speed, for example, or high sec auto tracking. Something that, you know, players may not use as much until they need to find a way. So to be like, oh, there's a lot of Mutalisks. This is a common timing for Mutalisks. Maybe I should get high sec auto tracking. We'll see how this works. They experiment around with it, see if it's worth it or not, and then decide to do it more and more. So that's kind of what we're seeing, is them using a lot more high sec auto tracking. We do have Infestors on the field, which will be good for killing off those pesky Hellions. But both players are now maxed, as it took DarkFoRcE about 16.5 minutes to get maxed. We do have a Nidus Worm in production, so that could be very interesting, as well as the sensor tower getting completed. So if you're wondering about how long it takes to get maxed, depending on what build you go, well, just look at both these players. We see that MVP is not maxed yet. He is at 170 at about the 17-minute mark. So here comes a major army for DarkFoRcE. Ooh, lost a couple of his mutas there. He doesn't really need them. Will he be able to focus down this Thor? Nope, Thor's range is too long. Able to do a lot of damage to these roaches, but that's not really that big of a deal. DarkFoRcE continuing to try and deal with these Thors, but for now it's just going to go ahead and drop a lot of infested Terrans. Not going to do that much damage, but hey, it's only energy, so it basically is free. I like this, breaking down these rocks now to open up an alternate route of attack. Can also counterattack not only the army to try and get us around, but also into the natural, potentially running by into the main base. So continuing here to be, honestly, the macroiest game I've seen in a long time. 68 drones to 66 SCVs, and I'm really surprised that DarkFoRcE isn't doing something with these roaches. Although now he is. I did hear a Nidus Worm up here. Looks like he's going to be running into this natural, taking out a lot of SCVs. They are forced to evacuate out of there. And that's going to be not a good situation for MVP, as he was forced to lift off. And not only that, but he transferred the workers, I believe, is here to his there we go, they're right here. He did transfer them into the main base, where there's really not a lot to mine. So you want those at those natural as long as possible. We do see more and more roaches running down here, but I feel like the Nidus Worm is going to get taken out. These units can safely escape in there, but he did suffer severe losses at the hands of the mech units. Upgrades for the Hellions are now at 2-1, which of course that does benefit all the other meching units as well. And yeah, I was kind of surprised how long DarkFoRcE sat on just mass roach, because you can you just get maxed out with so few units. And the problem is that, yeah, you have 200 supply, but just pure roach versus what he's going against is not going to be the best choice. We do have another Nidus Worm coming up inside the main base. What does he have loaded in the Nidus Worm? Where is the Nidus Worm, actually? He has it somewhere. Right here. He does have roaches and lings. Gonna go ahead and start unloading these right away. This is a beautiful choice, because what DarkFoRcE is doing right now is actually extremely intelligent. He realizes that the meching Terran moves very, very slowly. It's like me in the morning, afternoon, and nighttime. Like, you're just never moving at a very fast pace. So if you're able to do attacks like this, and this, here goes another counterattack. DarkFoRcE playing really, really smart again in this game. And if you can force him to run around to have to defend versus all this, then you are sitting pretty. And the problem is that he does end up losing these Nidus Worms, which Nidus Worms are not free. You do have to pay for them each time you use one. And Zerg players always need as much gas as possible, and a Nidus Worm does cost gas. If you look right here, it does cost 100 minerals and 100 gas. Oh, water. You are saving me today. And we do see that was not sneaky at all. The Overseer summoning 4 of those changelings to see what's going on. The creep now slowly working its way back as the Nidus Worm has since been slayed. But really, MVP, I almost feel like he's draining his opponent. But DarkFoRcE working on quite the force of Broodlords. He does have enough money to continue making these if he decides to. So that's going to be really tough for MVP to deal with. All he should be making right now is Vikings, as siege tanks. Going to be tough to deal with that. There's more Vikings right there. Overall, he does have 14 Vikings, so that's going to prove to be very difficult to deal with. But Corruptors are pretty good against Vikings simply because Corruptors have so much health. They have 200 health, and they start with 2 armor, making them very, very powerful units. And then with the +1 armor completed, that is a total of 3. And look at this, Vikings have 0 armor, only 125 health. And while they do additional damage versus armor, that's still a lot to make up for. And not only that, maybe the Corruptors will lose in a battle, but they survive for a really long time. And we do have Overlords over here. Are we going to be seeing a Nidus Worm? Doesn't quite look like it. Using these sensor towers, though, is so smart to try and prevent those Nidus Worms from occurring. But I believe these Overlords have been spotted. Yes, they have. They will be taken out by these Vikings. There's really nothing inside these Overlords, though. I think it was just more for Nidus Worm placement, as every Overlord in the left side has been cleaned out. If you look at the vision, our Zerg player only has vision on the right side. It could be smart to start harassing this location, but MVP has wisely kept his buildings far back. You got to be really, really careful, you know, on the positioning of where you put your buildings, even from the beginning of the game. Now, the Broodlords are going to be moving in here, trying to do as much damage as possible. We do see the infested Terrans getting mowed down, but that's fine, because guess what? They cost energy, baby. So even if they shoot once, a lot of times they end up paying for themselves. Just because if you can retreat back on that energy and let that regenerate, then you should be just fine. So both players are playing so passive. This is like 2 babies fighting, where they just can't fight. So we do see another Nidus Worm going to be unloading Zerglings. Does take out that sensor tower, and that's going to be a really nice victory for DarkFoRcE, because he can freely now drop here, do the Nidus Worms as well. A major engagement going to take place here. However, both players losing these units is not going to be huge, but losing the SCVs and Mules is really what he wanted. He wasn't able to kill off that hatchery, though. More Banelings rolling in. We're able to take out the majority of the Hellions, and both players now did lose a little bit of supply in that engagement. I wouldn't say it was knockout damage by any means, as the Broodlord numbers are looming, trying to get much higher. Is looming the right word? I don't think looming was the right word right there. The Overlords are looming, waiting to attack. That makes more sense. And with 11 on the field, you can do a lot of damage. He has now switched into a lot of Corruptors as well, continuing to produce those out. Look at how many he already has. He can make even more Broodlords if he wanted to. And here comes the attack right here. Is whittling down this as much as he possibly can. He does have +2 attack completed, +3 on the way for those Broodlings. The Broodlords themselves, I believe, are 1-1. No, 1 attack, 2 armor. So they're getting pretty robust as well. Does look like he is moving into the main base, trying to kill off supply depots, but there is enough that even killing these off is, he doesn't even have to replace them. He's still at 200 capability for supply. And oh god, you know you are in a long game when every expansion is taken and there is going to be planetary fortress set up. I can almost guarantee you this will be turned into a planetary. But look at the creep spread from our Zerg player. Just take a gander at the minimap right now. He has it everywhere. 1 creep tumor here and 1 or 2 over here would basically seal this entire map in the bottom right side into a giant creep pool. And right now, the Vikings do have the 1-1. The upgrades continuing here for DarkFoRcE. Wouldn't be surprised to see more spine crawlers thrown down. This just buys a lot of time. You can't really get ran by the Hellions, and it does free up supply. And honestly, this makes your army stronger because DarkFoRcE can just move out. And when he does, say the engagement happens right here, he can also burrow those buildings to absorb some of that damage. Looks like a little bit of infested Terran action trying to take out these siege tanks. Does get 1. You got to remember, that was an absolutely free kill because of the amount of infestors he has. Look at the energy on these guys. You can summon so many infested Terrans. Curious on the unit stat, but it's only 61 drones to 49 SCVs. So the Zerg player army is going to be very, very powerful. We do see 2 Infestors being thrown down. Can he get the Infested Terrans to focus this down? It does look like this upgrade will finish. Also a couple of units here to defend it. He has gotten his opponent out of position now, is going to attempt to attack this left side base. If he could kill off this expansion, that would be a nice victory for him. It allows him to start taking control of more and more of the map by kind of placing units at every corner. Aside from the top left, I have a feeling he's not going to be able to do too much damage over there. I heard another Nidus Swarm, I believe it was this one. Yeah, it's going to allow him to take it down. The command center has fallen, so not a lot of mining going to be going on there. Not a lot of mining on the left side, though. Does look like MVP realizes I need to move out and start causing some damage, so he's going to do just that. He does have a +3 attack now. 1 armor is completed. Second armor upgrade. Nearly. Wasn't there a second armor upgrade, or am I tripping? I must be tripping. As he is now marching into DarkFoRcE's main, but DarkFoRcE has so much stuff. This is way too many corruptors, I feel like, though. We'll see if he can use those accordingly. But at this point, is the hatchery going to fall? No, it is not, and even if it did, this gas just ran out. We actually got to see it run out. So it's not really going to matter if he does indeed lose that hatchery. Back in the Brood War days, geysers would continue producing gas. I think you only mined it like 3 at a time or 2 at a time or something ridiculous, but you were able to mine out of it forever. And upgrades continuing to be very good for DarkFoRcE, as now both players are just kind of turtling a little bit. Fungal growth going to go down, a couple Infested Terrans, but again, these are just such minor engagements that not a lot is going to come of this for either player. Losing these Nidus Worms, who cares? 6,000, 4,000 resources. Losing some energy on the Infested Terrans, who cares? Because the energy regenerates. So at this point, it's not even that big of a deal. He's just predictably making Nidus Worms now, going back and forth and back and forth. What he really needs to do is make 3 or 4 Nidus Worms if possible, and then kill off this. Can he get the fungals on the Vikings? Yes, he does. Huge fungals, but only able to get 1 or 2 because the remainder of them did indeed land. So we do see yellow and red across the board, even a Raven getting mixed in. I almost feel like nearly every single unit has been made, including Ghosts, which are now on the way. That high-sec auto-tracking proving to be fairly effective, but can DarkFoRcE actually commit and win here? It's going to be a tough sell if he wants to come out ahead, because that is a lot of stuff. 192 supply to 180. So dropping a lot of mules over here, as he did allow his energy to get maxed out, or at least get fairly high. But how can you blame him? Look at how many of these orbitals he actually indeed has. I believe he has 10 command centers. Yeah. Look at that. 2 planetaries in there. Absolutely ridiculous stuff. And what a crazy macro game that we've seen so far out of both these players, as we do have the 2 attack, almost 3 with the 3 armor, the crackling speed upgrade nearly done, throwing a couple more beach balls. But once again, this isn't really doing anything, as these Infested Terrans, I don't even know if they're in range to do anything. I think he's trying to draw the attention out. Has once again unloaded Infestors here. Needs to get this armory if possible. I don't know if he's going to be able to, but that is a lot of Infested Terrans. The one on the left side as well. Does look like the command center has fallen. More units going to fall over there. And can he get the armory? Really wants to restart that upgrade if possible. That would buy him 220 in-game seconds. Not that you have to pay to play StarCraft games. Can you imagine if you had to pay to play like a StarCraft game? So it was like a cent per minute or something, but then you ended up losing a game because you didn't have any money left on your account. Now we do see that the Thors are going to be dropping inside the main base. Haven't seen a Thor drop in ages. Oh my god, that is so old school. And he's just going to leave these and try and focus down these important tech structures, but instead the Thors are killing Overlords. Need to actually be going for the buildings, like this Infestation Pit, the Roach Warren, really anything except Overlords. It does look like these Thors getting left for dead are going to get taken out here, trapped by the Infested Terrans, fungal growth as well. These Thors could not be more stuck unless they were neuroparasited. That's about it. It does look like the Infested Terrans going to go down. But again, these aren't major engagements for either player, ever. They're just turtling at this point, trying to get maxed out once again. Does look like DarkFoRcE in a little bit of trouble. This isn't a huge deal, because now he's going to be going for the main base. He does have a lot of corruptors. The broodlings going to start hacking away at the production facilities, and there's honestly not that many production facilities at this location. It does look like he's whittling away the income as well for his opponent. We've seen continued ghost production. He has 19 ghosts. 19 ghosts. 19 ghosts. I don't know how else to emphasize that. And does have the cloaking for them. I can only assume he has the Mobius reactor. I believe that he does. Where is that Ghost Academy? There it is. Yep, he has everything except a nuke at that Ghost Academy. Once again, dropping some Thors down here to clean up house. Looks like DarkFoRcE now in a little bit of trouble as this game is kind of going back and forth. But MVP not really mining off that many bases. Considering we're at 36 minutes into a game and no one's mining, that's going to become increasingly desperate for both these players. They're going to have to be as cost-effective as possible. Need to see some Broodlords, but Infested Terrans seem to be the unit of choice for cleaning these up. Oh, man. 36 minutes now. And mined out there, almost here. This one's still going pretty strong. Vikings landing in the main could do quite a bit of damage here, if he wanted to, which I'm sure he does. And I gotta try and focus down the hive. Very interesting choice there, as these infestors can easily clean this up with those fungal growths. But I don't know if he's actually gonna be able to save the hive. It's getting dangerously low. And indeed, that is going to go down. So the hive snipe at 37 minutes into the game, but he did lose all those Vikings. That was a lot of Vikings just to kill a hive. And the thing is that he already has all the tech, so getting a hive doesn't mean he has to rush super quickly. We do see infestors trying to do more damage here. Massive EMPs going down though, and it does look like this massive amount of ghosts is just going to be able to clean this up. Yeah, remember that ghosts do additional damage versus light. They actually do 24 damage versus light units every single shot. That is huge, because even if you surround them with Zerglings, they're still killing your Lings extremely quickly. And on top of that, that is without the +3 attack, so gotta watch out for that. Medivacs do go down. That was full of units. That was a devastating loss there. I don't know what that was, but it does look like MVP ended up losing that quite one-sidedly, I must add, because dropships are not very good at killing units. And, yeah. Continued ghost production here. Up to 28 ghosts. 28 ghosts. Wow. I thought the original number was at 19. I thought that was a lot of ghosts, but now continued with the ghost production. We do see a nuke going down on the way. Nidus Worms popping up. Here's another one inside the main base. Does MVP know about it? Yes, he does. Sitting over his last... How many Vikings does he actually have? Down to 6 Vikings. Wow. And again, the creep spread by DarkFoRcE is hilarious. The entire map is now purple. And the Vikings... Gotta be careful here. They're not very good at killing ground units until they land. So he's going to go ahead and do that. Try and focus down any infestors that he can. We haven't seen any, not spawning pools, we haven't seen any Nidus Worms in the top left side expansion. And this is the strength of a Terran. Being able to mass mule like this, just mine out the entire map as quickly as you can. And get those resources going. Do have some burrowed Zerglings over here. I'm curious on the APM. 128 to 128. You do have to remember, though, that they recently recalculated the APM tab, so it records APM much differently than it used to. It's much lower as well. So 128 actually fairly high now in the StarCraft universe. Does look like that Nidus Worm gets taken out. And I don't know how many Nidus Worms we've seen, but it has been quite a bit. Is this spawning pool still on creep? It looks like it is, just barely. One hex of creep over. And that would be slowly dying off. And I think both players are just going to get maxed out here again. So, absolutely ridiculous game. These ghosts have full energy. And you got to remember, 25 energy for a snipe. If snipe costs 20 energy, that would be ridiculous. Can you imagine that? Being able to do 10 snipes per ghost? Now, of course, it does cost that 25, so it's a little bit less. But you can snipe quite a bit once you have that many ghosts. And all of a sudden, they're a unit that's good against every Zerg unit, except for maybe massive amounts of Zerglings when all you have is ghosts. And Banelings, I guess, could hit them okay, too. We just got to remember, while they don't shoot the fastest, they do so much damage versus light units that, you know, it's just pretty darn good. +3 attack is done. +3 armor is not for our Terran, but we do have ship weapons level 3 on the way. That's going to help with the Broodlords. And we do see more Marines going to be getting taken out here by this fungal growth. Cleaning up drops, easy peasy, faux breezy. I just feel like both players are too scared to engage right now, even with the max upgrades. We do see a nuke going down. It's not actually at this expo. It's right here. Oh, wow. I caught that the last second. Huge, 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 huge victory there. 28 kills. I feel like this is a single-player mission where you have to use one ghost to kill the entire Zerg base. And you're just wondering, why did you not give me more units? That ghost does fall down. Unfortunately, it doesn't say nuclear launch detected when those nukes happen. We do have a drop inside the main base, so some tech structures will fall. And the worker count has been whittled down to only 22. That is very low after eating that entire nuke. We do see 4 nukes in the arsenal of our Terran players, so I gotta try and keep an eye on the mini-map. This game now moving on to 43 minutes. Can he clean this up? One fungal. Spawning pool getting dangerously low. Second fungal. Every Marine goes down. And the medevac to boot. So supplies now are once again maxed out, which I'm not even sure what to say about that. Here comes the drop right here. No ghosts are in this army. And we are just going to have to watch and see if this is going to do too much. The Broodlord there are going to prove to be very difficult to kill. It does look like the Spinecrawler is able to clean this up. Some fungals as well. Oh, Infestors running his meat grinder there. 2 Infestors went down, making that drop a little bit more worth it. But I definitely think our Zerg player came out ahead on that one. And 7 more Infestors being produced. So Infestor Broodlord, which is actually surprisingly vulnerable to Mass Ghost, which now the ghost count is up to 27. The reason I say it's vulnerable is because you can snipe everything and kill the Overseers right away. It's a huge power play. We'll see if he decides to do that. Tried to nice worm his way to a victory, but I don't think he's going to be able to prevent it from dying. He indeed cannot. More infested Terrans here. Could try and focus down this orbital, I guess, but there's so many. There's just so many orbitals. I don't even know if he needs them. He's going to run out of places to drop mules pretty soon. Our Zerg player does have 10,000 resources. Not a lot he can really spend it on. And the infested Terrans now doing a surprising amount of damage to those Vikings. We're able to kill them off. And the Broodlord count getting pretty ridiculous. Overall, it is 23 Broodlords and 19 Infestors. And he still has 10,000 gas saved up. So, only 19 drones remain. But I feel like he doesn't even need drones that bad. He can just mine out this with what he has left. And look at this. He's completely mined out everywhere. There's 3 random Infestors over here. We do see continued harassment as the Broodlords have found a sweet spot in the defenses. Able to take out production facilities left and right. Killing an engineering base kind of worthless. The only thing we don't see increases cargo space of bunkers by 2. Also provides extra cargo space for command centers and planetary fortresses. We do see his units moving out now. Looks like MVP wants to make a push into the center of the map. He does have to be careful of this giant looming army, though. That was a nice EMP. Wasn't able to hit as many Infestors as he would like, but at least got one. Here comes a surround with these units. It does look like these Siege Tanks caught complete that position with the fungal growth as well. Not going to be able to escape. Oh, apparently they did. Oh, Infestors. These units lasting a surprising amount of time. There we go. Finally going to get that one cleaned up. And we do see the Vikings moving out randomly, sitting over a Spore Crawler. Not a good idea. Fungal growth on the Ghost. And they are all trying to cloak as much as they can, but the massive amounts of snipes proving to be pretty good. Was able to kill 4 Broodlings. Look how quickly they kill those Broodlings. That was actually phenomenally quick. Now sniping the Corruptors, able to take these out. If he can get air superiority, that means that he can kill off the Broodlords. Got to be going for the Overseers as well. You got to remember that these Overseers are invaluable because they are spotting the Cloaked Ghosts. And MVP just playing so smart here, as he was playing from behind, but he has managed to catch up just a little bit. The map is nearly mined out now that I look at it. So MVP is going to have to micro like crazy, as both these players over 5,000 minerals each. Now over 7,000 for both of them. Kind of moving forward here. There's, again, not anywhere left to mine. Only a couple patches for our Terran player remain. Our Zerg player has a little bit more, but not really any drones to saturate that. Cleaning up these spine crawlers, which is a handful of Marines. I really don't know where this game is going to go after this. This is such a weird TVZ. 133 army supply to 159. And, yep, there we go. Fungal Growth to clean those up. That's exactly what he needs to be doing, is whittling down this army as much as he can. More infested Terrans being lobbed here to try and clean out these buildings. Killing an engineering bay isn't even that big of a victory anymore because there's no upgrades to be made. Really, the missile turret isn't that big of a deal. So at this point, this is still anyone's game. I would say I'd give the advantage to aTnDarKFoRcE at this point. Because, yeah, he is going up against a lot of ghosts, both Fungals and Zerglings. I feel like he can deal with that. And double scans, trying to find those infestors. He does find it. Oh, I accidentally went to the camera. Did not mean to go there. I guess we could look at that. Let's watch how fast he plays. Although, there's really not that much for him to look at right now, because his base is mostly dead, and all of his stuff is just kind of sitting back right here. So that was his camera. We can take a look at aTnDarKFoRcE over here. Get the aTnDarKFoRcE cam on. And you can see he really doesn't have too much going on, as now he is going to be moving out with this massive army. Is he going to try and do a Nidus Worm? I think so. I think that'd be a really good choice. Here we go, back to everyone as the Broodlords are moving in, doing lots of damage. His Planetary Fortress is going to rake in the kills, but really he's just going to be exaggerating the story because Broodlings do die in one hit. 40 damage. I heard a Nidus Worm once again. It's over in the corner. Dropships full of units moving out. What's in here? Just Marines, so if he ends up losing that, it's not as big of a deal. The ghosts pretending like they are indeed Marines, saying go, go, go. Here comes the drop, now unloading those units. Another Nidus Worm right here. Could begin unloading just a couple of units, but the Marines have spotted it. And nothing comes out of there. It does look like this new main base hatchery could potentially go down. This is really the only mining base left for our Zerg player. But he does have a stockpile of 6,000 resources. So if he can clean up this drop, the opponent's really not going to have that much left. He has to remake all of his production facilities. And yeah, you can see just a lot of scans going down for either player. Many Ghost Academies have been completed. And after that first nuke, I don't know if we're going to see something that good. Wow, he actually is using energy to mine the minerals of his opponent because he has nothing else to spend the energy on. And that's just going to reduce the amount of minerals that our Zerg player can stockpile. I have never seen that, ever, in any game. I'm getting dangerously low on water, so hopefully this game comes to a conclusion soon. I don't know if I've cast a game this long in a very, very long time, as Sean is still MIA, but that's fine. I can solo cast this to my heart's content. More ghosts joining in to the army. I heard yet another Nidus Worm, this time right here. This could be a much more potent Nidus Worm if you actually get some Zerglings going on in there. And the Terran player is completely out of position. If he starts unloading this, that'd be pretty nice. He may start unloading him over here, though, as, yes, he is indeed having them join the battle. But unfortunately, there's no storms because Zerg don't have it. They have to rely on fungal growth. I just don't know if he's going to be able to do that. And it does look like aTnDarKFoRcE once again unloading all these units. Could take out some important structures like this silo, which has a nuke in it currently. Could be a pretty big victory. And achievements are disabled until further notice. So that's something to think about. We do see SCVs taking on a queen. Here we go. This is a battle for the ages. Mass queens transfusing mass SCVs, battling. That gets cleaned up. So does this attack up here. So both players still in it. And he's just scanning to see exactly what is going on in this game. Our Terran player actually has no income. This is all he has right now. Let's see, units tab. 46 ghosts. Production shows 4 more ghosts on the way. And that's it. That's all he has. There's literally nothing he can do. Especially against this army of changelings. Slowly, methodically, crawling their way all the way to his opponent. Is he even going to bother killing these off? Probably not even worth it. He's using a planetary. Planetary versus changeling. SCV versus queen. Only in the GSPA towards the finals can you see ridiculous games like this. There we go. More infested Terrans, cleaning these up. It is actually important at this point to kill these off, because the scans will be too much by dropping these mules. Because, I mean, this doesn't look like much. Like, this looks ridiculous. But we are moving into the Great Depression TVZ, where money is very hard to come by, especially if you're human. So you need to prevent your opponent from mining as much as possible. Kind of like a penny saved is a penny earned. A penny that you prevent your opponent from getting is a penny that you've killed or something. And I'm officially out of water, guys. So, whoa, snipes going down. We could see a scan to snipe more. We do indeed. Snipe, snipe, snipe. Picking those off. So he's trying to hang in here as long as he can. He is at a supply disadvantage. He's at an economic disadvantage in that he is not mining at all. He's at a tech advantage because all he has is ghosts. But if DarkFoRcE makes the mistake of going just Broodlords and Queens, it's going to be in a lot of trouble. You just need to make mass Zergling versus this and eventually overwhelm them so that they can't get in position to snipe. But right now he is continuing to get Infestors. You can EMP those. You can snipe them. You can snipe the Broodlords and those Corruptors very easily, actually. A lot easier than you might think with all those ghosts selected. And I guess we can just go back to the DarkFoRcE cam. So he's trying to figure out what to do, looking around over here. He's just spreading his creep because why not? He's got not a lot else to do. Leaving those spine crawlers over there. We do see more mules mining his stuff. And yeah. Yeah, not really a lot going on. Once again, he's still trying to clean out as much of the Terran forces as he can. The Ghost will be able to save nothing, apparently, as he's giving up this location completely. There is a planetary still there, but not really doing anything. This one is kind of annoying, but you can kill it from a pretty good spot over here. Just got to be watching out for these ghosts. Oh my god, we've reached the 1 hour mark. Cheers. Cheers to everyone who has been watching this entire game, because this is obnoxious. And it does look like this barracks will go down. Yay, one more building closer to this being over. Kills that off. We are going to kill it, right? There we go. Some insane Corruptor Micro versus that barracks. And oh my god, are we going to see a major attack? Are we actually going to see a major attack? I don't believe it. I do not believe it right now, guys. This planetary is going to fall. But really, what this comes down to is, can our Terran player kill everything that the Zerg has with just this? That the buildings don't even matter at this point. If DarkFoRcE can kill off that army, it is over, because there is no base to speak of from our Terran. Does look like that goes down. The other refineries gonna go down to a couple of Zerglings. And this is something. This is StarCraft 2. As our Terran player is just standing around. Guess we're just gonna go back to the DarkFoRcE cam. Try and see exactly what he can do to break through this. And the turtling Terran, man, it's a tough spot to be in if you're the Zerg player right now. Now he is out of nukes, as he did lose all those silos. He's mining gas, which he can't spend on anything. It's almost out, though. And, yeah, we're just waiting. Waiting to see what DarkFoRcE decides to do. Waiting to see what IMMvp decides to do. Because right now, it's interesting. It's trying to clean this up with some energy. Are the ghosts going to go down at all? No, they are not. You gotta remember they have so much energy, 200. Which does indeed mean that killing these off with snipes is no problem. Killing energy with energy. Medevac's able to heal those up, so we are back to exactly where we were for the last 35 minutes. And 21 Infestors, 16 Broodlords, 16 Corruptors. Might actually be tough to kill this off. Ghost with 3-3, 28 damage. My god, that is absurd. For an auto-firing ghost to be able to do that much damage. But it does look like this barracks over here finally getting taken out. 26 damage per shot. He does have the armor upgrade though. So 3 armor on that building. And still sitting around. I almost feel like I should just do a crossword puzzle or something. And just be like, hey, do you guys know 8 down? Because I don't. I'm actually horrible at crossword puzzles. I don't know how anyone could do those. I'm going to be completely honest. Like, I just don't get it at all. Even if I go on Google, I'm just like, I don't understand this. Was able to kill a lot of buildings here at the natural. Which means the Terran player now is on 1 base. And I have taken to scrolling around with the keyboard, as not a lot has happened. There we go. We'll look at the DarkFoRcE cam once again. Try and keep us awake. Unloading some of his infestors. Gearing up for an attack. It does look like he's gearing up. Oh, a couple SCVs transferring out. I'm actually not sure why he would do that. That's actually bewildering to me, why he would do that. Because he already knows he can't mine anywhere. So we might as well keep him when the final battle comes. Better than just throwing him away. I mean, usually you throw him away to free up supply, but he's at 140 supply out of 50. So I don't know quite what the purpose of that was. Maybe he just got bored. And this just shows you the power of ghosts and how long they can hold out. He has cloaks, so he will be able to take these out. No problem at all on that. More infested Terrans on the high ground. I think he's just trying to buy time, drain their energy a little bit. Every second that goes by is less and less snipes. But there's like an unlimited amount of snipes, so this guy's killing 1 changeling at a time. So DarkFoRcE gotta do something. Since his opponent evidently is not leaving the game. We'll be able to kill off 2 more buildings. My god, 2 more buildings closer to this game being over. That gets taken out. This refinery has 152 gas. You see broodlings being used. Broodlords trying to move in, but snipey snipe. Don't snipe back. That got taken out. Dr. Tab, you can see no one's really making anything. So transfuses. Ta-da. Big army. This is the most exciting thing to happen ever. Random beach balls. And I guess this just shows you the power of the ghost. Able to hold down this base for this long. Or the endurance of DarkFoRcE, as he still refuses to attack his opponent. He's just sitting in the middle of the base, or the middle of the map, and not doing anything. He is literally doing not a thing. So he is maxed. His opponent is not. He is mining just barely. So what can he do at this point? Well, he's still playing super safe. Got his creep spread going to all corners of the map. Look at the creep on the map. And I think he's going to be ready to move in pretty soon. I don't really know what he's waiting for, but I guess just a couple more infestors for fungals? Not really sure. Killing this depot out of spite. This ghost is just like, why are we still in this game? Gotta try and kill him off. He is gonna get one ghost kill. Boom! That's good for him. He literally has his medevacs patrolling at this point. But this is, I feel like this is like a horrible custom map that someone made, where you start with like 1,000 ghosts. And here we go. Is this going to be it? Is this going to be the most ridiculous battle ever? He is sending in the changelings first. Here he goes. He's going for broke. He does have the infested Terrans on the high ground, but has not fully committed to this attack. And is indeed just going to sit here, sending in the Broodlords now. Infested Terrans getting mowed down by the Planetary Fortress, but the Planetary could go down. No, it still stands. And the infested Terrans actually doing quite a bit of damage to the Vikings. Every little bit of damage they do is huge. A couple of snipes over and over and over. Can't really get out of range of that quickly enough because it has such a long range. See players just moving around. Not players. DarKFoRcE is the only one moving. Has a lot of overseers. Here comes the changelings, which again do not do anything except for look cool. Getting killed off by this ghost. But this did buy DarKFoRcE enough time to get up the ramp. This is everything he's got. Here he goes. He's going for it. This is going to be potentially the very last battle. Nope, DarKFoRcE backs out. He is backing out. He is using infested Terrans though as much as possible. Corruptor is not really doing anything. They do need to kill off these Vikings. Major engagement. We've been waiting for it for about 45 minutes. And it does look like point defense drone being used. Massive amounts of snipe. And oh my god, our Terran player is going to hold. We could be seeing lots of EMPs. EMPs, no EMPs, but snipes on everything else. Huge fungals going down. But ghosts do have a lot of health. And those fungals just aren't enough to kill them off quite yet. Close, but no cigar. And the, wow. The ghost's actually going to counter that entire Zerg army with just snipe. I don't even think he EMP'd. Maybe he did, but I don't know. And honestly, why are you not moving out? Like, why would you sit here? I guess you can heal up your units, but Zerg player's just going to re-max out. Or not even max out, but get quite a few resources. He is getting a lot of Zerglings, which is what he needed in the first place. The ghosts now healed up. They've been whittled down to 21. Army size for both 64 to 79. We do have 11 drones for our Zerg player. Go ahead and close that one out. And where are they mining? Right here. This is the last mineral patch in the game. I don't think there's a single mineral patch anywhere at all. It is indeed all gone. Okay, so now we have a wall in. I think he's trying to force a tie. I think is what he's trying to do. But I don't know if he can at this point. I don't know why he sat back and let this. I honestly think he's playing mind games. I like 100% think he's doing this just to play, like mess with his opponent. I'm wondering if he is just like talking to all of his teammates while he's doing this. Oh, got a couple ultras in there. Those are vulnerable to snipe. But fungal growth and splash damage could be pretty good. 9 infestors are on the field. There is the... For some reason the sound of this is so much louder. Like it carries all the way across the map. The sound of the changelings dying. That's hilarious. So this is gonna be it for aTnDarKFoRcE, I believe. All he can do is make Zerglings. I wouldn't be surprised to see him use all of his money on Zerglings right now. This is really smart, lobbing these on the high ground. This is gonna take out a couple of buildings. Will force him to either lift off or lose these. Although he's getting very low on the amount of buildings he has, so he can't really do too much like this. Because even a major engagement, if he focuses down the buildings rather than the units, he might end up winning. Based on that alone, we do see Vegetarians trying to snipe one of the buildings. That one is most certainly going to go down. So nice little victory there for aTnDarKFoRcE. And no more money for our Zerg player. That's it. 7 minerals, 17 gas. So we're going to see the last big attack. This should be barely enough for aTnDarKFoRcE. Barely, barely, barely. No anti-air, though. Actually, does he not have any anti-air? Oh my god. He could force a draw. If he lifts this up and puts it right here, he would force a draw, and we'd have to go through this again. Insane. That is ridiculous. I wonder if he's going to do that. That would be so absurd. Because his opponent has no money. There's no money on the map at all. There's not enough money between these two players combined to get like a Mutalisk or something. I don't believe it. I am awestruck. I don't know if he's going to be bad man like that or not, but we are about to find out. As here it comes right now, the last engagement of the game about to take place. The one unit that the ghosts don't counter is the Zergling. And it does look like they are going to get surrounded here. Not enough snipes going down. I believe this is going to be it unless he lifts off a building. Is he going to be that BM, or is he going to allow us to finish? No, he's not. He does say good game. And that is the longest game. 1 hour and 20 seconds. That is the longest game I have ever seen ever in the history of StarCraft 2. Oh my god, we are going to take a break. I cannot drag this out anymore. I love you all, and I need a quick break before I continue casting in the next game back here with Sean. So hope you guys enjoy it, and I will see you guys next time.